Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. Happy Monday. Okay, happy Monday. So let me go ahead and do my little intro, or whatever. Just to get things into routine. So hey y'all, it's Necey Dixon. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome. Clack clack. Okay. If you are returning, y'all, welcome back. Today I'm actually in a mood. Okay, so last Monday, whenever we were supposed to be doing our reviews, y'all know how I like to do. I come on here Mondays and I go back to back to back in my E40 voice. Okay, because that was very much giving E40. But on Mondays, I come on here and I go back to back to back to back, and I be talking to y'all for about 3 hours. But last week I was not feeling it because I didn't think the episode was giving that much. So that's when I opened up the lines last week and I had y'all come on in so we can have a regular phone call conversation like some good girlfriends. I think I'm gonna do the same thing today, but I'm definitely gonna be reviewing the episodes. So for today, usually depending on the week, depending on how good the tea is, we will review Real Housewives of Atlanta first, and then other days we may review Love and Marriage franchise first. But today, I think that it's best that we start off reviewing the Love and Marriage franchise, DC first, then Huntsville. And then once we get through that, we're going to head over to Real Housewives of Atlanta, which I'm most excited to talk about. I ain't even going to lie to you, okay? I ain't even going to hold you. I am most excited to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta. Marlo is doing too much. And for my subscribers who have been trying to get me to come over to Team Twirl, save me a seat because I think I'm ready for initiation. I think I'm ready. But yeah, Marlo was just doing too much. She's working overnight, weekends, holidays, graveyard shift for the peach, and she doing too much. But before we get into that, y'all, I think we can go ahead and get Love and Marriage DC out the way. So let me go ahead and say hey to y'all who are here bright and early, my faves. Thank y'all for having the notifications turned on. I see MB, Jasmine, Monique, Ayana, and then Sugar Shan. So let's get into the mess. Y'all tell me, oh, for real? Kashay said, I saw you on TikTok. You was in the background of Nova the Barber's TikTok at a fashion event. Yes, I was. I need to see who Nova the Barber is. I actually was at the fashion show this weekend. My friend Ubang, he's actually a designer, and he put together a amazing show to showcase talent in a DFW. Oh my gosh, I see myself now. Shout out to you for letting me know that I was in the background of somebody's TikTok, but I gotta watch it now. That's too funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway, y'all, it was a good show. But I decided that I'm about to put together my short so y'all can see what I was doing that day and what the day was like from my perspective. I was trying to put a vlog together, but it's so hard to vlog when you don't have nobody filming you. And the whole day is going by super fast, and it's 103 degrees in Dallas, and you running around like a chicken with your head cut off, going from point A to point B, point C to Z. Yeah. So I said I was going to share the weekend with y'all. I still will, but it's probably going to be a short. So look out for that. But okay, without further ado, y'all go ahead, like the video. As soon as we come back from liking the video, let's hop into this review, Love and Marriage DC. Love and Marriage. All right, just another reminder for those of y'all who are just now joining the live. Today we're going back to back. So Love and Marriage DC first, Love and Marriage Huntsville, and then we're gonna round off with with Real Housewives of Atlanta. So episode starts out, y'all, and we basically see Monique starting her new job down to the radio station. It's bright and early in the morning. She said she woke up at like 3:45 in the morning, had to get to the news station at like 5:15. And I started thinking, I don't know. My mind is always thinking like, what happened outside of the cameras that we didn't see? And just a random thought, nothing wrong, no flaw in production, nothing wrong with this. But I was like, they definitely recorded her at that interview. And then they recorded her on the job. But then would the radio station have to sign something and have cameras filming while she's at work so she knew she was going to get the job before she went to the interview? I just be thinking deep like that. Y'all tell me I ain't the only one, but I was just like, oh, so the interview was fake. Whatever, y'all. Monique got this job. Good for her. So Chris has to get the kids ready Monday through Friday. So that's a big task for him to take on. Another thing I want to add is some people may forget that the kids are homeschooled. So I don't know if they have a teacher come by the house to teach the kids. I don't know if Monique and Chris are their teachers. I'm assuming they're going to have somebody come by the house. But either way, I think that it's a different responsibility getting the kids ready for school when they ain't going out the door. Okay. My mama and daddy used to be so excited to send me on my way to go wherever I was going to go for the school day, for summer, for whatever. And I feel like it's a different type of work when you get the kids ready to just sit in the house. It's a lot of work. Hey, Stephanie, thank you. Hey, Berta. Anyway, from there, y'all, Monique finally comes back home. And when she does, Monique is just like, I just feel so destined to do this. I feel like I finally found my calling, blah, blah, blah. She's talking about how much work she put in with the Not for Lazy Moms podcast and how all the work she's been doing is finally coming to fruition, right? And Chris says on the flip side, while he's happy for her and he's supported her dreams and she's always been a star in his eyes, he was struggling because it was tough getting the kids ready for school. And Monique is basically like, I've been doing this for 9 years, so my advice to you is prepare, period. Now, my whole thing that I'm taking from that conversation is I don't feel like what the intuitive reader told them is really being worked on or even addressed. Y'all give me 1 second. Okay. Just wanted to make sure y'all can still hear me. Anyway, I don't feel like what the intuitive reader told them is really being worked on or even really addressed. The intuitive reader told Chris that he almost needs to find something that he's passionate about and not make everything about Monique and her dreams. I don't think that she literally meant that. I think the higher level thing is, as we all seen, Chris has been walking on thin ice with Monique. I'm not saying that this has been the entirety of their relationship. I'm not saying that Monique is always like the more authoritative or type A of the two of them, which she probably is. But my thing is this, Chris, you and Monique are not making any progress, or I won't even say progress. I think Monique is so frustrated because throughout the 10 years of their relationship, now that Monique is wanting an emergence of something to happen in our moment, it's not happening. And it's not happening, Chris, because you are walking on thin ice. And I think Monique is getting frustrated because she would almost rather you just say, I don't want to do the fucking work. Okay. I think she would almost rather you say that. And because you're not doing that, because you're treading lightly, but not really putting in any efforts towards one direction or the other, Monique is like, okay, but what's going on? So I think that with him talking about, yeah, you know, taking care of the kids was so hard, yada, 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 that's great. But I also wanted to think hard about how Monique was like, not Monique, Chris was talking about how much of a star Monique was. Yes. But what about you? What about you telling her how you feel? What about doing something that's going to shake the table? And I think that's what Monique is waiting for. So from there, y'all, we're going to move on to Ashley. Ashley looks super cute for her book photo shoot. She is coming out with a self-help book called Do That Shit. And I'm not mad at the title. I have never really read a self-help book. Well, one time I did, and I'm absolutely ashamed to say what book it was, but I was very young and dumb. I'm still young, but I was young and dumb. And I won't even say dumb. Let me explain to y'all what self-help book I read since I'm talking around it. It was the Think Like a Man by Steve Harvey book. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed. Yes. Yes, Makia. Yes. I'm ashamed. But that's because I was influenced. Y'all not gonna act like every Black woman in the 2000s, especially middle age, was not reading and listening to Steve Harvey like he actually had the key to everything. And my mom worked from home. She used to watch all them daytime talk shows. Every Black household loves Steve Harvey. My daddy had the Steve Harvey suits. My mama had the book. And when she had the book, I was reading the book. And I like in 2022, I am ashamed to say that I was really like, okay, he has to preserve, protect, profess. He has to do this. He has to wait until the 3-month. Oh my gosh. I am. But y'all know the way I be going in on these women on the shows. And the reason why I think I'm so good at speaking on relationships and speaking on a lot of the ways these women move in these shows is because I read books like that. Not books. I read that book and I know how pick-me's think. Okay. So I think that book gave me a really good perspective of things, but I'm embarrassed to even say, yeah, I read it. Okay, I'm glad I was not the only one. Because Shay said, I feel like at some point everyone thought that was a good book. Ayana said, girl, we all got Think Like a Man. Summer Hill read it too. Yes, okay. Exactly. There is a lesson in everything, okay? But you gotta anyway. I preferred that Ashley's self-help book was very much like, girl, do the shit. Like, period. It wasn't no like, oh, sit in a corner and do this. Because I don't succumb to things like that. Especially because everybody on social media is all in this energy and vibe phase. And it's kind of hard to sort out the real from the fake. So I like that her book is very blunt. But she does talk about how in 2018, she was finally diagnosed with depression and anxiety and why her book is about that. So I'm glad to hear that Ashley has more to her story because very much like she was giving Winter, we're bored. Why every time I see you, all you talk about is your ex-husband? It was very much given for me. I'm bored. Every time I see you, Ashley, all you talk about is quit working too much. You're in his manager's office. You're doing this. What about you? So now that we're finally seeing what it is about Ashley, I'm not really mad at it. And I have to say, I'm lightweight annoyed by this whole Monique and Winter thing, because that's just what I'm going to call it today, y'all. It's a Monique and Winter thing because Ashley has X'd herself out of the equation, and I'm here for it because Ashley absolutely notices that Monique is carrying the bone. Monique is shaking a bone and getting the hell on. And Monique, even though you're the nucleus of this friend group, I think Ashley realizes I'm not about to do all this tap dancing and arguing for a show that is brought together by you while you sit back and you woosah and you veganism and you essential oil us to death. So I think that Ashley peeps it. And for that, I think that I can. I told y'all a couple weeks ago, I was like 70% dislike with Ashley, 30% like her. I think we can go about 60-40 this week. So let's see. So next, y'all, we move on from that. We see Arena and Jamie. Y'all, Arena and Jamie are making money on TikTok. They popped up on my Facebook Reels the other day, and I was like, I've seen them before. And I had realized I've seen the video before. They got about 3 TikTok videos that's done millions of views. So shout out to them for doing that, right? Now, Arena starts talking to Jamie about the reader. And Jamie is a fool. He's like, I don't know where she got that from, that I was a bully. I wasn't giving none of that. Well, she's a reader, you fool. So they both agree that they want to go back to the reader together. Now, finally, y'all, we see Ashley and Monique having a conversation. This is where the tea is actually spilled. And I think I'm going to let like 2 people call in to speak on this because we have to review Real Housewives of Atlanta at 6:15. So if any of my members want to call in first, I'll answer the phone for you first. But yeah, I'm going to let like 2 people call in. So anyway, Ashley and Monique are having a conversation. And after we sat there and listened to Monique really try to play like, did I do that? I wasn't sure. I didn't mean to shake the table. Monique, after we saw you do that, and after you told us, well, I don't want to be relaying information incorrectly, so I'm just going to stay out of it. What do? You get back in it like a line dance, okay? You get back in it. You lose your step a little bit and you be like, nah, I ain't going to try again. And then you hop back in it. Girl, the mess. So she hops back in it. And her and Ashley, they have a conversation about how being a wife and a mother is not enough, right? Cool. Ashley wants to have this conversation with you, but that's not what Monique came there for, Ashley. Monique came there to spill more tea because obviously you didn't get revved up enough the last time that Monique said, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Somebody cue the tape of the... Anyway, obviously, you didn't get revved up enough for Monique, Ashley. So Monique decided to spin the block. And when she did, she starts talking about, well, you know, I didn't really tell you everything that Winter said, but I know it's going to make you really mad. And Ashley's like, well, what is it? Is it going to make me want to fight? Is it going to make me want to drag her? And Monique was like, it is. And I hate when people bring tea to me like this. People used to do this to me a lot when I was like more of a hothead. I used to be a really big hothead. And people used to come up to me and tell me bullshit just to see how I would react. Or it would be some bullshit that was weighing heavily on their heart, but they didn't really have the guts to go up to somebody and say something. So they'd be like, I'm going to tell you, girl, I'm going to tell you what they said. So that's what I felt like Monique was doing. So she says, well, she called your husband DJ Fun Size. Ashley laughs it off. And she's just like, huh, okay, like, girl, whatever. That is funny. That's cute. So I then felt like, okay, well, if I felt like Monique peeped that Ashley was not moved by the Fun Size comment, right? Next, she goes on to say, okay, well, let me tell her this next. She also called Arena's husband Red Light Special because he fell asleep at the red light. Now, that's some tea to be upset about because that's some personal information. I understand why Arena is upset. Don't tell nobody about no drinking and driving situation where he is stuck at the lights, right? That's different. But that was messy. And I felt like Monique kept building and building. And then another thing she said during this conversation was, oh, well, she also said that she don't want none of y'all's husbands because your husband's DJ Fun Size and her husband's a Red Light Special. Okay. Who said that Winter wanted their husbands? This was a conversation that Winter had with you, Monique. But my thing is, why didn't you have conversations with with Winter about what she said? Now you're mentioning something, and let me explain this a little bit better. When Winter had that conversation with Monique, and she said she didn't want none of their husbands, did she say it? Yes, factual. She did say that, right? All is fair in reality TV. She did say that, right? But the fact that Winter said, I don't want y'all's husbands, was this much of the conversation. So for you to specifically bring that up and say she don't want none of y'all's husbands, that's another level of boundaries to cross. Like, number one, you calling my husband a name, some nickname or whatever. Number two, who said you wanted my husband? Like, what? So shout out to Ashley for basically curveballing that shit and being like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? Let me see. My kid said, Necey, didn't Monique mention both husbands' nicknames at first? I was expecting 2 nicknames. What she do? Mentioning both nicknames at first. I was expecting 2 nicknames. What you mean? I don't know. But Monique was messy AF. And y'all, come on. I get it. Okay. I know there's an element of production on these TV shows, as they are on all TV shows. But if I'm gonna call the bullshit out on the other TV shows, I'm gonna call the bullshit out on this TV show. And for this reason, Monique is full of it. She's full of it. She is full of it. And I'm like, reality TV is just reality TV. I think Monique really attempted to come back and essential oil us to death. I think she thought that she was going to come back. She was hoping that she was going to have control over her story. And my question to you, Monique, is if you felt like your story wasn't told appropriately, or if you felt like you weren't seen in the best light on Real Housewives of Potomac, why would you take a bone from production and decide to carry it on this show if you wanted to be in charge of your narrative? Hopefully it's a question that I can get answered. But y'all, we're going to move on from that. We see Quick and Chris, and they go to like some spa and they get massages. And basically, they talk about manly stuff like, oh, I'm not supposed to have feelings. I grew up this way. And Chris is telling him, well, maybe you should go to therapy. So finally, y'all, we go to Ashley and Arena, and Arena wants to get her body done. She wants a skinny BBL. And I'm hearing that a lot of the celebrities, y'all know these TikTok pages where they be talking about, oh, well, what surgeries does this celebrity have? A lot of the celebrities allegedly have skinny BBLs where they don't have the Coke bottle shape, but it's more of like ooh, I went to the gym. Ooh, I naturally got a peach booty. So Arena goes for that. And when I saw Arena's body is like flawless. This woman is almost 50 years old. She hardly has any fat, just like Ashley says. She's round in a lot of places where people want to be round. She has a desirable body. She look good. But as Ashley mentioned, is it social media that's wanting you to look a certain way? Is it your husband and the women that your husband might be chasing in the club that make you want to look a certain way? Girl, I don't know. But you look fine just the way you are. And I think you need to do a little bit more soul searching. And that's not to say that people who get surgeries need to do soul searching. But I think it's clear in Arena's case that whenever the intuitive reader just said, boo, and she said, all my life, as soon as that happened, I think it was clear that she needed to do some self-reflection, right? So Windsor, Ashley at this consultation ends up telling Arena the same tea that Monique tells her. They took me out because when Arena said, is something wrong with Winter? She's crazy. The wig tells it all. I started laughing my ass off because I said the same thing, y'all. I wasn't saying Winter was crazy, but I was saying like something is definitely going to be a little bit off about Winter. Because she's giving you classy, front face, she's giving you classy, real reserved, but you also got to have some type of edginess or some type of streak in you to go get the whole side of your head shaved in 2022. It's not Cassie and Bad Girl Riri phase. So where'd that come from? So she tells her about the nicknames. Arena is obviously feeling some type of way because that is private information about her husband falling asleep at the stoplight. So finally, Arena and Winter meet up. And when they do, Arena lets her know whatever is said in private, that should have stayed between you and I. And I was annoyed. I'm annoyed about this whole thing, but y'all, they have to carry some type of story. I get it. What else would we be talking about if this was not going on? I'll wait. Relationships that don't nobody want to spill tea on because these women gonna protect their marriages, okay, as hard as they can. But anyway, Arena says whatever it says should stay between you and I. And what I don't like, on one hand, is Winter. You said that shit. Stand on it. The second thing I feel is Monique. You messy as fuck. Okay, you know she was just talking to you about that in a friendly conversation, but whatever. Production. And then the last thing is just like, Monique, do you like Winter? Monique is telling everything that Winter said saying things that makes Winter look the way she presented herself. And then all of a sudden being like, oh, Winter's not that girl. Winter is not a mean girl. Winter's not the girl to talk about anyone's marriage maliciously. But she said this. Monique, how that work? Okay, how does it work, Monique? I don't get it. Ayana says, how private is the conversation that took place on camera? No, literally, okay? In real life, it's one thing. Like, girl, don't tell nobody I said that, don't make up no nicknames. Because I don't want nobody to know that my husband was drinking and driving and sleep at the red light, right? That's one thing. But then on the other side of things, it's like you did just tell everybody. This is the comment right here. So Winter was like, well, did you tell me to keep it private? Winter, cut the shit. Okay. I think what all y'all need to do is band together and call a thing a thing. The easiest thing for you to do is blame it on Monique. Okay. The easiest thing for you to do is blame it on Monique. Stand on what you are saying. Okay. This is how it should go. Monique is getting shit stirred. Winter is running from it. As long as you run from it, it's not going to work in your favor. What you need to do, Winter, is say, yes, I said that shit. And I'll say it to your face. I'm going to repeat to you how I feel. But the bigger issue here is, Monique, why would you get shit started? And then everybody will turn their heads and say, you sure is right. We need to have a conversation with Monique. But y'all ain't used to this. You should know that. If I ever said something, I'm going to stand on it. I'm not going to lie about it. Okay? Because I said it. Honesty is the best policy, right? So that's all I got for Love and Marriage DC. Y'all like the video, and then we can go ahead and jump into Love and Marriage Huntsville. All right? Do me a favor, like the video if y'all just now joining. All right, y'all. I see my Wi-Fi bar is tripping. Okay, I think we might be good now. So, Love and Marriage Huntsville. I'm like on the verge of sneezing. My goodness, y'all. My goodness. And now since we got this little break, I gotta tell y'all, life update. My goodness. It ain't too much of a life update, but I really have to go through some type of lifestyle change when it comes to the food that I'm eating. I really do. Like anytime I eat out, I'll get a headache like hours after. And I'm like, is it gluten? Is it blood sugar? Is it blood pressure? I need to do something. Okay. I can't vitamin myself out of this. I'm gonna have to cut certain foods out. And I hate to see it. But anyway, just had to get that off my chest since we friends, y'all. And another thing, I feel like I heard of a couple of y'all be like, oh, I saw you somewhere. If you see me somewhere, say hey, please. So I know that people really be watching my shit, okay? Please. All right. So, y'all, it's time to move on from Love and Marriage DC to Love and Marriage Huntsville. This episode was okay. It was okay. I do have to say there were some comical moments. For one, when Martell was arguing with his Uncle Sam, my household was split on the Martell and Uncle Sam situation, so I can't wait to hear what y'all think about that. The other part that was comical was Dr. Francis. What episode is not funny with Dr. Francis in it? Dr. Francis is reading. Tisha be in Dr. Francis' office talking about, I don't know. Girl, put your thinking cap on, okay? So I have to say I was entertained throughout this episode, but it was all right. Can't wait for the drama to pick back up. So episode starts off where it ends. We are in Atlanta. Wait, are we in Atlanta? It looks like, are we in Atlanta or are we in Huntsville? I can't remember. I want to say we're in Huntsville at this point. So It don't matter. Martell is doing the big old event for his wine called Ima, named after his grandmother, Atlanta. Thank you, Janice. Now, he's doing the toast for that. And it seems like there was a color. It seems like it was a color everybody was supposed to wear. For whatever reason, everybody was wearing red. But then there was a few ladies that were wearing white. And I'm like, why only is this one wearing white? Is that somebody Martell was dating? Or was I doing too much detective work? Honest wine. Thank y'all. Honest. Was I doing too much detective work? It seemed like it was like one lady in the room that was wearing white. Then it was one lady in red who Martell took a picture with, and he was like, act like you love me. And I was like, okay. So Martell gets up there in front of everybody with that damn fur on. Oh, I really would love to find a picture of that fur. Let me go to Instagram just because that fur was tragic. And I remember whenever the fur picture first started being circulated, because it's like Martell. Martell got a real Renaissance-esque type of flavor to the way he dresses. And it's like you're doing too much. Sometimes it look good. Sometimes the shit look like you can't breathe. Other times it's like, who told you to do that and for what? But the fur to me looked an absolute mess only because the cut of the suit was just, I can't even say that's the only reason why. It just didn't look good. And I can't find the picture of Martell on the fur. The picture must be gone from his Instagram. I just scrolled down to the bottom of his Instagram that fast, and I cannot find the picture of the fur. But regardless, y'all, I hope y'all watched the episode so y'all can see what outfit I'm talking about. Either way I go, didn't care for it. So he had the fur. And yeah. See, I know what y'all talking about, right? I have to cut him out. I do. Not the fur. Boots with the fur. Suits with the fur. Okay. So Martell was up there and he had to do a speech. He doesn't know what to say. He's just like, my guys, come on up here. So he calls over Chris Fletcher. He calls over the Scott brothers, Lewis. He calls over Frank, the guy who he been trying to leech off of because he don't have a license. And when I seen Chris, I was like, somebody need to ask Chris, where was he at in January whenever Marceau claimed that he was in Atlanta with Chris? That would have been comical if somebody had even mentioned that to Chris Fletcher, and Chris Fletcher would have been like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. That would have been comical, and I wish that was going on. But whatever, it didn't happen. So he calls everybody up to the front except for his Uncle Sam. And he's like, you know what, y'all? We own businesses. We do this shit. That's beep, beep, cussing. Do that ish. Do that ish. Because whenever you don't give her this, give her that, beep, beep, beep. He's just cussing and joking. And it was an awkward silence. It was an awkward silence. And my thing is, Miss Ann says, Mind of Lilith has an interesting perspective on this scene. I'm gonna have to check her out. I've been hearing her name a lot. Shout out to her. So I have to check that out. Anyway, he said a bunch of nothing. He did mention that the wine was named after his grandmother, but he called everybody up, and honestly, to me, I felt like it was a big flex for him. What does you and your friends having to be business owners have to do with the grand scheme? You could talk about the obstacles that you had to overcome. You could talk about who your grandmother was to you. You could talk about how you got the idea for the wine. Your grandmother's son was sitting right there in the room, and I absolutely understand where Uncle Sam was coming from when he was frustrated. And this is what I mean when I say that the house is split. Because y'all know this is one of the shows that me and my husband watch together, and he is opinionated just as I am. The way I felt about it is Uncle Sam, let me tell you how it happened first. Uncle Sam pulls him to the side, but it seemed like Uncle Sam's wife was like, nah, don't worry about it. You know, maybe it's the liquor. And he's like, no, you talking about my fucking mom? You talking about my mom? You acknowledge all these other niggas. You acknowledge all these other niggas, but you ain't gonna say nothing to me, her own kid. So he goes outside to talk to Martell. And Martell was, Uncle Sam was basically telling him, you couldn't have done better than that on that speech. You had all those dudes come up there and you wouldn't acknowledge your actual grandmother. Martell completely stops Uncle Sam in his tracks. He whispers and he says, you're on national TV right now. They're recording everything. You don't want to do this. And Uncle Sam even got more upset. And to me, I understood where Uncle Sam was coming from. For one, don't name anything after anyone if the shit does not come from the heart. I'm not saying that he didn't love his grandmother. What I'm saying is sometimes people will do things and they'll try to connect a deeper meaning to it. But you can tell whenever like actual intent, actual passion about something is not there. You didn't think to tell everyone who your grandmother was. Yes, Martell, you're not a great speaker. But where the hell was Melnika? Melnika didn't prep you for that? Melnika, get on your job. Melnika rented out that big old mansion, hired all them, the bachelor extras to come in and stand around. I won't even say bachelor, bachelorette. Real chance of love extras. One more chance extras to come and stand in the room. Yeah, you got the whole Sprinter bus to take them to Atlanta. You came up with the mixer, the test group, but you didn't come up with an outline, an agenda, an itinerary for Martell to know, hey, at 9:15 to 9:20, I need you to make a speech. And if you did, why didn't you go over it with Martell? I don't know. The whole thing was bad. So on one hand, the argument could be, oh, well, he hasn't done anything without Mel. So maybe he's just a bad speaker. But on the other hand, when things are done intentionally and you know that you are making this wine from the heart, it don't take a damn rocket scientist to sit up there and say, let me explain to these people why I'm passionate about this project. It don't take a damn rocket scientist, and it don't take no builder's license to do that either. Okay? Because I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, he's never done it before. It don't take a builder's license to know that that's what you're supposed to discuss. You have a whole manager. So you can give him some type of grace. You can. But on the other hand, I'm kind of just like, I guess. Let me read this comment from Monique. Monique says maybe he was trying to protect Uncle Sam being on camera since he's the one Martell went to jail with over stealing ATMs, maybe allegedly. Yes. So she says they were charged with felonies. Martell was 23, Uncle Sam was 37. I don't think that that's the reason why. I think that Martell, and the reason why, I'm gonna tell you this, why Uncle Sam got increasingly more angry is because he came up to you to tell you that what you was doing was on some bullshit. And whenever he did say that to you, instead of you actually addressing how he felt and what he said, it came across as though you were trying to threaten him. Be careful. You're on camera. They're recording everything you're saying. Okay, we're not going to be real though. You was on camera whenever you used my mama's name. This my daddy house. This my mama house in my ATL voice. You was on camera whenever you were speaking on my mother. You didn't think about that? If you're that calculated to not have certain conversations on camera, why didn't your ass do the calculations to come up with a 2-minute speech just to thank your grandmother? So I don't really have any grace for Martell when it comes to that. Yes, Martell is a poor speaker, but why didn't you plan? Why didn't Melnika set you up to plan? Don't know. Okay. So my question to y'all, and this is what I want y'all to answer for me, regardless of how you feel about Martell and his infidelity and all that other stuff, whose side are y'all on when it comes to this situation? Are y'all on the side of Uncle Sam, or are y'all on the side of Martell? Because Uncle Sam, his feelings about it was just simply, that's the best you got. Like, the speech just wasn't good enough. And I understand where Uncle Sam is coming from. So y'all tell me in the comments. Right. You couldn't, hey Stoney, you couldn't shout out grandma? Honestly. And you didn't even call your uncle up there who knew your grandmother better than you, probably. You didn't even call him up there. You called all your homeboys up there. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Nita says Uncle Sam. Miss Ann says Uncle Sam. MB says Uncle Sam. Prosperity says people give Martell too much grace. Right. Y'all, and this is what I mean when I say you can tell that stuff isn't being made authentically. Martell knows that we've been on YouTube every week and we've been talking about his lack of being a business person. We've been talking about him not having a builder's license. We've been talking about him losing everything without mail. So what did he go do? He started shooting for calendars. He wrote a book. He came out with a wine line. It's easy to put your name on ish. It's easy. Okay. When you have the influence, you can put your name on anything you want to and it will make money. Do that inauthentically. I don't give a damn. But if you're going to mention somebody's mama, that shit better come from the heart and it better be genuine, because who's going to be making coin off of this at the end of the day? You are. And if it's not real, I'm going to be feeling some type of way, for real. Janice says Uncle Sam. Gigi says Uncle Sam. I think we're all in agreement. DeSousa says, De Sosa says, she likes Martell, but she 100% agrees with Uncle Sam. Right. It just was classless. It was classless. And blame whoever y'all want to blame. Melnika, Martell. I don't care, but I think Uncle Sam actually had a very good point. So now, y'all, we move on from that. Let's talk about let's talk about the Lewises. So finally, Tiffany, I said the Lewises, the Whitlows. The Whitlows are home. Lewis left the trip early. Yep, that's how I remember they're in Atlanta now, because Lewis left the trip early. So he comes home, and when they do, they basically have a conversation about what happened on the trip. Tiffany is grilling him like, what happened on the trip? He says that there were ladies there. Miss Ann, I feel you on that. We're gonna keep it real brief. So yes, I'm still reading this. Hey Keisha. Keisha says Martell was mad disrespectful to his uncle. I think he was dismissive. I felt like it was a power flex for him to say that the cameras were around. Like, hey, it's cameras recording everything you say. But then I also felt like maybe he did have good intention of like, be careful of what you say. But boy, if you that calculated, you should have been calculating a damn speech. Boy, okay. Sometimes these people make me forget my age. Some of these people be old enough to be my damn parents, and I be like, girl, boy, because that's what it be giving, okay? Anyway, they talk about what happened. Lewis talks about this focus group, how ladies was coming to the house, and then they show that flashback of you open that wine, you spread them legs, and I could just gag at this man even saying that, but whatever. Then they talk about him doing the rage room and how he was raging about his lack of sex. It's too funny because on the flip side of things, we saw Tiffany riding in a car with Mel down to Utah, Alabama, telling her how she gives her man head and all this other stuff multiple times a day, even though she worked from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night. How that worked, the math ain't mathy, but One of y'all liking it, the other one is not liking it at all. So I can't even say if you like it, I love it. But okay. So Tiffany is really upset. Like, obviously, if you had an issue, we could have a conversation and priorities could be addressed. And low key, if I was Tiffany, I would be feeling some type of way too. Why would you have that conversation with your homeboys when you could just talk to me? Why would you have that conversation on TV when you could just talk to me? But it seems like the transparency really isn't coming through. So that's something that y'all probably need to talk about. Are y'all having enough sex, or like, that's the thing. I feel like Tiffany is almost trying to allow us to think that maybe her husband requires a lot of sex, more sex than usual. Because if she doesn't make us believe that, then we're going to believe that she's a liar, saying that she has sex with him a lot. So I think that she wants to explain or dance around the not enough sex to he just wants a crazy amount of sex. And one of the things I need to say here was, y'all tell me if I'm tripping. Y'all let me know, especially the married ladies, the ones who've been in the game for a long time. Tiffany mentioned that if he required a lot of sex, then it would just be her duty to fulfill that, even if she didn't really want to do it. I felt a way about that. I did. I felt a way about that. And that's one of the themes that we can draw parallels between whenever we get into Real Housewives of Atlanta. In Real Housewives of Atlanta, Drew mentioned how it was Sonya's duty to have another baby for her husband, even though she mentally and emotionally could not bear the weight of having another child with the lack of support from her husband. So I think it's a weird thing. I think all women are different. All women have different things that they are calling a duty. But I thought it was really weird for Tiffany to say that if her husband needs a lot of sex, then she would look at it as a duty. I ain't really with that. Miss Prince 49 said Tiffany said 3 times a week. At their age, they should be okay. Girl, she said at their age. Keep in mind, Tiffany ain't no older than 1987. I think when you say their age, you probably thinking they like mid-40s. Tiffany's young, allegedly. Delia said, hell no. No, with the W at the end. Stephanie Ray says, nope. And Prosperity said, married or not, I'm not effing unless I want to. Period. Okay? Especially with the climate that's been going on in the US today. I feel you on that. That's the thing. And that's why I was feeling some type of way, because I'm like, duty. That's a whole nother conversation. I just hate I hate this feeling that women feel like they have to do things for men and they make decisions about things. I'm not going to get into that. But I just might be a little bit triggered that this woman said it was a duty for her to have sex with her husband, while also saying that her husband likes to have a lot of sex that's outside of the norm and doesn't sound enjoyable to me. Don't do something that's not enjoyable to you. Keisha says, I'm not that with you. I'm not with that either. Tasha says Tiffany was not born in 1987, not with them pink pumps. Nope. I feel y'all. Okay. So y'all, let's move on from the Whitlows to now let's talk about Tisha and Dr. Francis. So that's my second picture right here. We see Dr. Francis, and her homework assignment was, who is Tisha? And Tisha says, you know what? I wrote things down. I said, Tisha is a child of God. She is a mother. She is a wife. She is this and she's that. She said, and I sat there, I looked at the paper and I was like, but who is Tisha to Tisha? And basically, she said that she realizes that she needs to figure out who she is through self-discovery. She also lets Dr. Francis know that, my husband says that he'll support me through whatever I want to do. And Dr. Francis says, who? Who said that? And Tisha was like, my husband. He said, Marceau? Marceau said that? And she's like, yeah. And he said, oh, okay. It was too funny because y'all, Dr. Francis is all of us. She also talks about the fact that he went to Tanzania. She's like, yeah, he went to Africa and it was just very last minute, but it's okay because I just told him that, he just has to stop telling me things last minute. Dr. Francis definitely said, girl, hold on real quick. I got something for you. Put this on real quick. Dr. Francis said, let me put this mask on you real quick. Look into the mirror. Tell me, do you see a red dot in the middle of your nose? Okay, let's talk about that right there. That's exactly what he said. So she ended up saying, well, I didn't really have a problem. He said, you didn't have a problem with it? And she says, well, I just told him to stop telling me things last minute. For one, I thought that it was really that he broke down last minute. Shout out to him. He says, Tisha, there's a difference between last minute behavior and last minute thinking. It's not the same thing. He had been thinking about it before he even told you. And I think that's the realization that Dr. Francis wanted her to come to. Y'all, I've never seen anybody on any reality TV show that does this shit as good as Dr. Francis. Usually these therapists like to take the approach of, self-discovery. Sit with yourself and think. They'll lead the horse to water, but if the horse don't drink the water, they ain't throwing it in your face. Dr. Francis is picking up that pail of water and throwing it in the horse's face, like, drink this shit. Shout out to Dr. Francis. So he says, I think what you have here is a dependency issue. And she says, what do you mean by that? I think so. He says, well, the fact that Marcel could just get up from what he was doing to go to Africa and tell you last minute means that he could depend on you, Tisha, to take care of his responsibilities while he was gone. Why didn't you go? She says, well, I couldn't go because I have kids and my kids have things to do. She said, I peeped this. I hope y'all did too. When Tisha was talking to Dr. Francis, she said, I have kids who have things to do, so I can't go. She might have not said that word for word, but the point that I'm trying to stress to y'all is this lady said, you are married. Your husband depends on you to do the shit that he doesn't want to do. Marcel simply wants to pay bills, and that's it. Okay? He wants to pay bills, and that's it, while he leaves you with the children. And this is another reason why I feel away, and we're going to talk about it in the Real Housewives of Atlanta review. This is another reason why I feel away about women saying things like, I have to do this because this is the duty that my husband requires of me. But one of the things I want to point out, and this isn't like an all men or all women situation, keep in mind the type of women who are calling these things their duties. Women like Tisha, okay? Women like Tisha with men like Marcel. That's a pairing, okay? They go together. Women like Drew Sidora, men like Ralph. That's a pairing. They go together. So what I think people need to do is have these expectations and duties lined out before y'all get married. But the thing is, I don't want to hear you complaining about it later. Okay? Do that self-discovery before. So anyway, as Dr. Francis is reading her for filth, shout out to Monique. Don't forget the dog needed a sitter too. Okay? As Dr. Francis is reading her for filth, she ends up saying, well, only time will tell. That's a way of saying, well, let me leave my clown mask on in peace. We gonna see what he wants to do. Well, I've tried to change Marcel, but Marcel won't change. So I'm just gonna have to sit and roll with the punches, figuratively. So it ends right there. Dr. Francis pretty much lets her know, no, it's not a time will tell. You know what you need? You need confrontation. Confrontation changes things. So shout out to Dr. Francis. He is amazing. Time Up said he was gone for a month. Oh, girl, you wilding. That makes sense though. Ain't nobody going to Africa for a couple days. Miss Prince says she doesn't keep up with finances. The ticket to Africa. Okay, darling, you got it. Nah, she don't keep up with finances. I doubt it. She might have some visibility, but I doubt it. Time up, love. Didn't know he was gone for a month. Prosperity says I peeped, but she's right. She did have kids. Marceau has dependents for his taxes. Girl, go to sleep. She says she did have kids. Marceau has dependents for his taxes. He didn't know his child was allergic to peanut butter. I can't. I cannot. All right, y'all. So let's move on from that to now we see Martell and his mama having a conversation about Uncle Sam. And, this scene kind of made me like Martell's mom. Because typically in the past, all we do is see her really just make excuses for him. And this scene, we actually see her siding with her brother a little bit and saying, well, I understand why he felt that way. He was probably overwhelmed. So good for you. And I think she can understand that because her herself was a child of Inez. She was. So Martell says, yeah, that's fine, but Uncle Sam should have just taken my apology. There's a time and place for everything. Martell, that's where I'm gonna have to disagree with you. If you know that there's a time and place, if you are so calculated to only speak about things when cameras are around, your ass should have been calculating that speech. You also should have been calculating the time and place and the climate in which you were talking about your grandmother while also making money off of her and trying to flex in front of all these people. So, time and place, like you said, Martell. He also said he's not a good speaker. But the kicker for me, y'all, Martell made this scene right here an opportunity for him. Hey, Dion, an opportunity for him to talk about the connection that he had to his grandma. But this is where I'm like, I honestly don't think that this man was capable of ever making a speech. Listen, hold on. Let me backtrack to make sure I say this right. Let me backtrack. Hold on. I think that the word narcissist is very much overused, okay, on social media. But if I'm going to use the word incorrectly because I'm not licensed, I'm going to use it to talk about Martell. I feel like Martell is a narcissist. We have not seen Martell do something without talking about Martell. We have not seen Martell handle situations without thinking about how it affects Martell. We have not seen Martell handle people with care without acting like they're his property, peasant. So even in this scene where he's talking to his mom and he had a second chance to talk about how much he cared for his grandmother, he didn't make this scene about his grandmother. This dude right here wanted to have my hair used to be down my back, but since I got my hair permed, my hair won't grow no more moment. This man gave yeah, when my grandma died, I was supposed to run for them NFL scouts, but I couldn't even do it. So Martell, you trying to tell us that the reason why you ain't in the league is because your grandma passed away? Boy, big gulp of water. I ain't gonna sip water. I died laughing because I sat there and I was like, oh, this is good that he's using this scene to talk about the relationship that he had with his grandmother. And then he takes the scene to then talk about where he could have been in life if his grandmother wouldn't have died when he was supposed to be running from the NFL scouts. Boy, Tom Up Love said, I bet he say that's why he can't pass that damn test also. Right. Real weird. And at this point in time, y'all, I'm starting to look at Martell as like, he's not calculated, clearly. So at what point in time do we just say, oh, he's sick? Oh, he needs some therapy. Oh, something's not right there. I think this is it for me. This is a time where I'm like, oh, Martell is just gone Martell. He just gone Martell. So y'all, that's what I got from that scene. Now, y'all, let's get to Mel and Kimmy. Mel shows up and she's like, "Hey, Kimmy, you didn't feel a way about Maurice going on that trip with Martell because you know who Martell is." And Kimmy's like, "No, I didn't really feel a way." Kimmy basically says that Mel is scorned and she's triggered and she thinks that everybody is a cheater. And Kimmy, let me say this. While I do think that Mel, let me not say that. While I do see the angle that you're coming from, I don't think that Mel is saying that Maurice is down there cheating. I think Mel is saying Martell is a clown and he's going to have Maurice in certain environments, just as you said a few episodes ago, that Martell was bringing people to his environment and you had to remove yourself from the environment. So it's funny that now that Mel kind of has the same ideology about Martell as you did a couple of episodes ago, now because she's directly asking you about your husband, you feel as though your husband can't be influenced by Martell. But just a few episodes ago, you were talking about how Martell sucks people into his environment. And that's whenever Martell said to you, "I don't put people in my environment. It's because they already are in my environment." And that's what I need y'all to realize. So I'm just like, Miss Lady, Miss Ma'am, Kimmy, you smart. You real smart. You real smart. But it's like, because I reviewed the show, I noticed some of these inconsistencies. It's like, you just told us that Martell was bringing people to a certain environment and that a lot of the reason why drama was going on, a lot of the reason why the pictures were taken is because of the environment. Yes, Nola. Nola says they know what she's saying is fact. They don't want to hear it from Mel. I agree. I don't think Mel is absolutely accusing every man of being a cheater that hangs out with Martell, but she's saying the same thing as you. If you had concerns about his environment, you're not concerned about the environment now. Funny, 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 funny. Okay. So from that, they end up recapping on the argument that happened with Uncle Sam and Martell. And Mel is just like, what's tea? What's tea? So lastly, the ladies talk about Melnika. We see Mel and Kimmy talking about Melnika, and Mel is just like, "I know her. She was actually my wedding planner, and then she quit a week or two before the wedding. She called me and Martell on three-way, and she said that he was cheating and he was a liar." And Mel is just like, "At this time, I was only 22 years old, and I didn't know any better." So I told y'all, shout out to those of y'all who be watching Ooh Ladies First Panel, because sometimes when I get into conversations with the girls, it just sparks like other ideas or other thoughts in general. But I never thought initially that Melnika used to mess around with Martell. But it's something about Melnika and the pleasure that she gets with making Martell happy. Yes, he's her client, but it's just something there and how they talk about how far they go back that really makes me think of, and y'all tell me this if this happened with the girls y'all went to school with, but I'm speaking for myself. I went to school with some girls, a few of them, and they were always the homies, but not the girls that were like the pretty homegirl slash hoe homies. The girls that the dudes would they would clown in their spare time, but meanwhile be having interactions with them on the side. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? The girls who didn't quite have the confidence to not be played. The girls that would be played, but then feel good about it in private because the dude would be using you for other things. That's the character trait that I'm getting from Melnika. I don't know this lady from a can of paint, but I'm telling y'all, this is a character trait that I'm getting from Melnika. So now, and I called it last week. So now that we know that Melnika, we can say she had intentions on canceling this wedding a year and a half or 2 years ago, lets me know that you probably have relations with Martell. If Martell is your homeboy, why 2 weeks before the wedding, you calling his soon-to-be wife on the phone talking about Martell is cheating on you? Why do you give a damn? You're not one of the girls he's cheating with, right? Or are you? Or are you? Because you're okay being one of many, but you feel a way that once he gets married, you're going to be one of none because he's going to have Mel. Is that it? Is that it? It is really giving that type of character trait for real, okay? So I don't know. Carlicious King says Melnika is married but still has a funny relationship with Martell. Right. Okay. Regardless of if this this lady is married or not, that might be who she used to be in a past life when they was younger. She used to be that girl, in my opinion. Okay, that's just my gut feeling. You used to be that girl. I don't see you ruining. If that was your homeboy, I know. Let me calm down. I don't know plenty of people who cheat, but I have known plenty of people. I have known plenty of people who cheat, but then they have a main girl that everybody knows about. If you like it, I love it. Okay. I feel like women have intuition and research, as Tisha says. And if something happens, guarantee you're not the only person to know about that. The streets talk, okay? It didn't take Melnika for Mel to find out that he was cheating. So why, Melnika, did you feel so moved to tell this woman about him cheating 2 weeks before the wedding if that was your friend? Unless you felt a way about it personally. So that's really weird to me. That's really weird. And Delia, you hit it right. And why would Martell have a chick that tried to ruin his wedding as his now manager? Make it make sense, okay? It don't make sense at all. I didn't hear about any fraud charges. But yeah, okay. I don't know about it. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Just let that marinate and we're going to see how it play out next week. Y'all, we got one more review to get into, and that is Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is going to be an interesting conversation because I was just telling y'all how we could draw some parallels between what Sonya feels as a duty as a wife, what Drew feels as is a duty as a wife, and what Tiffany from Love and Marriage Huntsville feels is a duty as a wife, okay? Real interesting, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this review. Y'all be sure to stick around. If you sit here right now, it should redirect you to the next video. Okay, y'all? So with that being said, y'all be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then I'm going to see y'all in the next video immediately after this one. Bye, y'all.